Becoming a cybersecurity specialist. So this is the last chapter of Cybersecurity Essentials 1.1. All right. So looking at cybersecurity domains, understanding the ethics of working in cybersecurity, and how to actually become a cybersecurity professional. So let's look at the cybersecurity domains first. So first off is the user domain. All right. So when looking at user domains, okay, when I'm talking about domains, okay, we're talking about the things that are affected, all right, the areas that are affected in the cybersecurity world. So common user threats and vulnerabilities are part of the things I should look at when it comes to the user domain. So the user domain could be used are the users who access the organization's information. It could be employee, they could be customers, okay, they could be your contractors, all right. And users are often the weakest link in information security and pose a significant threat to the confidentiality, that's the CIA triad of the organization's data. So remember then, in the beginning, we talked about cybersecurity. In cybersecurity, or an organization's security, is only as strong as its weakest link. Just like a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. When you put a chain, subject a chain to pressure, all right, you extend it, you expand, try to expand it, to try to pull it. The part that breaks, that is the weakest link on that chain, all right. So how do you manage users threats now? Okay, threats or vulnerabilities that can come from the end of the users. So you have to create awareness, okay, organize trainings, all right. Education, very very important. In today's world, you will find out that there's a level of education, at least for a random or regular individual that is using a smartphone. For example, WhatsApp was advertising to MFA or 2FA, that's two-factor authentication, all right, two-step verification, rather. So when you put your two-step password, WhatsApp would enable. Even the least old mama that is using WhatsApp now understands what two-steps verification is. I was surprised one day I went to a phone shop, a woman, like, she was using one Samsung. It's an elderly woman, probably about 60 years. So she was trying to transfer her WhatsApp to from her former device to a new device. So the guy was helping her working on it. I was working on it, and he now had to ask her about her two-step verification. So she didn't understand what it was, but he had to break it down, break it down. She said, "Oh, those the password that I set so that they will not hack my WhatsApp." The boy now say yes. He makes she put the password there. So that tells you that there's a level of awareness now in when it on the customer side when it comes to cybersecurity. And another thing you should also do, especially it comes inbuilt, is enabling content filtering and antivirus scanning. So modern phones, all right, on their browsers, all right, you see you it hinders you from downloading malicious documents. All right, I can send you a file now, a zip file now of internet download manager. You should know internet download manager. If I send you internet download manager on WhatsApp, if you try to download it from your system, from your laptop, your laptop is going to give you a warning that you're trying to download a malicious document. So you have to go, so which means that browsers by default now blocks some kind of downloads. All right, you have to go to your browser settings and enable some kind of button so that you can be able to download that particular file. Also disable internal CD drives and USB ports. Now there's something called open autoplay in system. All right, if you can search, when you open your settings, just search autoplay. So if you notice some of you, when you plug USB drive, flash drive to your system, automatically that USB drive will open. Now, do you know that there are some things that are called autoplay viruses? So autoplay viruses jump into your system via that autoplay action. So it's a system action. It's a default system action that happens whenever you plug or input a device into your system. All right, an external storage. in that sense. So another thing you should do is to minimize permissions, restrict access, track and monitor users, and enable intrusion detection. All right, so you can do this with virtually with your anti-malware services. Example is Windows Defender. And always try to update patches. All right, update Windows Defender, update software. So the reason why they create updates, okay, sometimes we will just think that they want to add new feature. It's a regular person will think WhatsApp is updating because there's a new feature, and that's not true. Sometimes it could be a security feature. If you go to your Windows updates, you see Windows security updates most of the time, and also Windows updates their security patches every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, if you go and search for updates in your Windows or your Windows security directly, you see that there's an update to download. So let's look at common threats. Another one, common threats to devices. Now, looking at the other domain, we're done with users. We're looking at device domain now. All right. So vulnerabilities can also come from not the user now, this time around, from the device. So when remember we set password policies, right? I showed you how to set up password policies. All right. So there are also other plenty stuff so that you can set on your system so that you would not necessarily you'll be secure. All right. For example, my device on my personal own PC, okay, my PC is always linked to my phone's Bluetooth, and my phone is something that I carry everywhere. So immediately I step away from my laptop with my phone, because I must not always press Windows L before I go. Windows L locks your device, right? Just like pressing your lock screen on your phone. So Windows L locks your PC. Sometimes, what if I'm distracted and picking a call? I just receive a call and I step away. So what happens is that because I have set a device connection on my Windows security with my phone and my system, it means that whenever I walk away with my system, okay, with my phone, all right, when my phone is no longer close to my system, it automatically my system locks, okay, because it now takes it that I'm away, so that somebody else will not have unauthorized access to my laptop. So immediately I step away from my phone. After few seconds, I think up to 5 seconds, it just locks. Once I walk away with my phone, my system just locks by itself. So unattended workstation is one of the vulnerabilities. Then also user downloads unpatched software. You should always download software patches. Malware, use of unauthorized media, all right, and violation of the acceptable use policies. So when you go and start downloading crack softwares, I know we are very good at that in Nigeria. So unattended workstation, you have to establish account policies for password and threshold lockouts. So you can see threshold lockouts, very important. That's what I was talking about now. Then you should know when you set up those policies, you know the amount of times that your system a password should be tried on your system before it automatically locks out permanently, and the person will not be able to enter into the system again. The user downloads, all right. I talked about malware. I talked about unauthorized media, like your USB drive. Acceptable use policy violation. That's you have to use content filtering, antivirus scanning for download files, and disable internal CD drives and USB ports. Then another domain is the local area network. Now this is coming to the networking aspect. So when it comes to, especially in your home, you know people can just come and connect to your internet. Let me say you have Wi-Fi, your friends will just come over and say, hey, connect to my Wi-Fi. So that can create a vulnerability for you. If your device is visible on that network, it can create a vulnerability such that whenever people are connected to that Wi-Fi and their system is also their system can also be vulnerable, because the people can use, they are connected to the internet, so packet sniffers can do their magic and sniff whatever information the person is sending on the internet. So when you allow people that you do not know connect to your hotspot or your Wi-Fi, all right, they can use that opportunity to gain unauthorized access to your systems or applications. Then network operating system software vulnerabilities could have could be like misconfigurations and failure to perform updates. So you should always update the operating system of or the firmware of your network devices. For example, some of us don't know that MTN MiFi now, there's a place for updates. When you open the default gateway, there's a place for updating the firmware of the system. For example, a friend of mine that uses Starlinks. So before Starlinks, whenever it's raining like this, the network is usually very, very, very bad because Starlinks use satellites. Okay, that's more like roaming. Okay, if you know what it means to roam a network. So when there's a bad weather condition or when the atmosphere is cloudy, there's rain, so that causes a lot of attenuation, okay, and it affects the flow or the transfer of data over the network. That is why Starlinks will always have that kind of issue. But then they've updated their firmware such that it can a little bit, cover up for those different um lapses on the network. So some common LAN threat domains are the unauthorized LAN access, unauthorized access to system application, network operating system software vulnerability, network operating system unpatched, unauthorized access to rogue users, exploits of data in transit. Like I said, when I was talking about packet sniffer, LAN servers and different hardware or operating system, unauthorized network probing and port scanning. Then firewall misconfiguration. So when you don't configure your policies well on your firewall, you can have um, issues. Now, another domain is the private cloud. Okay, wide area network. Some of these could be unauthorized network probing and port scanning, unauthorized access to resources, router, firewall, or network device operating system software vulnerability. Okay, you can remember I said routers have firmware and you have to carry out firmware updates. Okay, when you do wrong configurations on your router, you give privileged access to people you are not supposed to give privileged access to, some privileges we are not supposed to give privileges to. So, and also remote users downloading sensitive data from organizations network when they connect remotely. So these are different things. This is also on the network. Okay, so those are the different vulnerabilities that can arise on the cloud. Then there's also public cloud domain. Now, when I was talking about private cloud is more like intranet. All right, public cloud is more like extranet. Let's talk about in our organization now. All right, the intranet is the network that every staff is connected to. Then the extranet is the network that probably customers can come and connect to, or probably third party users can connect to. Okay, so common threats now in the public cloud are just similar to that. All right, to that of the private cloud, but then they don't have direct access to company resources, so they could now um, perform things like uh, stealing of intellectual properties, all right, or compromising users credentials, okay, or identity theft when they try to be someone who they are not in order to get a privileged access to the company network or intranet in this case. So account hijacking, social engineering, I think, and lack of understanding on the part of the organization could be a vulnerability in the public cloud domain. And remember, social engineering is just a way of making people to take actions that they don't want to. All right, using psychology. Now, another one is the physical facilities domain. So, common threats to the physical facilities could be natural threats, all right, so probably weather problem, geographical hazard, power interruptions. When one good way to enter into someone's network is by creating power surges when the whole system will reboot. So by that time you can just connect your system to the network, probably using a wired network, so your system will just automatically be given an IP address in that particular organization. So when people, if you watch all these movies, where you notice that when they want to actually cause a breach, they'll go and tamper with the main power supply. That's why organizations should always have backup power supply system, so that whenever those things happen, the it automatically go to the backup power supply system. So for them to even bypass that backup power supply system, they will always create power bridges. Okay, when you just go and connect two wires together, it will create a bridge, and it will automatically um, force breakers to go off, and it will require the people in charge of the power to go and turn on the breaker manually. So turning on the breaker manually means that the whole system could be restarting. So social engineering is also a way. Tailgating. Okay, remember tailgating? When you're following somebody will be following you to know how you're using to enter into some kind of offices, or just to find out the passcodes to some doors. All right, when you leave doors open in organization, that can also serve as a vulnerability. You see some places in banks, they'll tell you staff only. All right, you can't see them. Remember, you can't see where they keep ATM machines. The door, that vault door that usually leads to ATM machine, they can't leave it wide open, because if they leave it wide open, it's a vulnerability. What if robbers enter at that point in time? It means that they don't even need to force anybody to open up the vault. They just enter inside like that, pack all the money and move away fast. Now another one is application. All right, now this comes to apps that you're using, probably on your phone, on your IoT device, or on your laptops. Some of us we used to read privacy policies. Remember, in the beginning of this training, we talked about privacy policies. When you began to read that of Facebook, you see how they can use your data to do whatever they want to do. Some other social media applications too that were listed there. So sometimes you just give privileges to your data without knowing that you are giving privileges to your data. So when they pack a lot of documents and give them to you and tell you that those are privacy statements, you will not be able to read through, because you know it's plenty. So and somewhere within that document, they will hide that thing, so that in case tomorrow you sue them, they'll just go and read that document and say you accepted it, and you have nothing to say about it. So also unauthorized access to data centers, computer rooms, and wiring closets, server downtime for maintenance, system down for extended periods of time. These are some application domains or vulnerability. Network operating system software vulnerability, unauthorized access system, data loss. All right, so when applications crash, okay, when servers are no longer reachable, that could be an issue, because you know that some applications are hosted remotely. Okay, unlike WhatsApp now that is hosted on your local device, that's on your phone. So WhatsApp is partly hosted. WhatsApp is kind of hybrid now. Before, it was entirely hosted on your device, such that all your data is only on your system or on your phone. Okay, not on the cloud. Unlike Telegram is hosted on the cloud fully. So anything that you want to be on your phone, you have to download it and save it to your phone. But anything you have uploaded there, you have uploaded it already. Now let's look at understanding the ethics of working in cybersecurity. So ethics of a cybersecurity specialist is ethics is the little voice in the background guiding a cybersecurity specialist as to what he should or should not do, regardless of whether it is legal. So the organization trusts the cybersecurity specialist with the most sensitive data and resources. So the cybersecurity specialist needs to understand how the law and your organization's interests help to guide ethical decisions. So there are some questions that you could even ask yourself as cybersecurity specialist. Even there are some things that you would want to do. Probably investigating a matter. All right. So there are some actions that you might want to take. Okay. You are supposed to ask yourself, okay, this action I'm about to take, is it legal? If it's not legal, it means you should not take the action. After, even if it's legal now, all right, you also have to ask again, are you taking advantage of someone's data without the person's permission? All right, so those are some questions that you ask yourself, because if you do not, you can end up in prison as a cybersecurity specialist. Funny enough, people don't know that you can end up in prison because they'll tell you that you uh, broke into someone's um, data, or you had unauthorized access to data that you're not supposed to. There are also Computer Ethics Institute. The Computer Ethics Institute is a resource for identifying, assessing, and responding to ethical issues throughout the information technology industry. So, the Computer Ethics Institute was one of the first organizations to recognize the ethical and public policy issues arising from the rapid growth of the information technology field. So, every organization have policies, all right. Also, when working with a cybersecurity or as a cybersecurity specialist, you look at organizations' policies. You also look at the local policies of that particular country. All right. Then, when it comes to the users, now you look at the policies that are guiding or that are associated with the particular of the users, all right, of that particular product or service that you are working on. Now, what is cybercrime? All right, so cybercrime is actually when you commit a crime in the cybersecurity or in the cyberspace. All right, so when you break the law, when you break a cyber law, you have committed a cybercrime. So law prohibits undesired behavior. So unfortunately, the advancements in information system technologies are much faster than the legal systems can accommodate. So a number of laws and regulations affect cyberspace. So a computer may be involved in a cybercrime in a couple of different ways. There is a computer assisted crime, computer targeted crime, and computer incidental crime. So child pornography is an example of computer incidental crime. So the computer is a storage device and is not the actual tool to commit the crime. So who would they hold? The owner of the device, right? Then organizations created to fight crime are actually existing. All right, so they're the ones that will probe you when some of all these things arise. Then civil, criminal, and regulatory cyber laws. All right, so for example, now in the US, there are three primary sources of law and regulations: the statutory law, administrative law, and common law. That's if you did law, you understand some of all these terms. So all three sources involve computer society. So the US Congress established federal administrative agencies and regulatory framework that includes both civil and criminal penalties for failing to follow the rules. All right. So there is the Graham Leach Billy Act, the SOX, PCI DSS, Import Export Encryption Restriction. Then there's ECPA, which is the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. As a lawyer, there's something called, you can study cyber law as a lawyer. You can niche in cyber law, right? You can find a niche there. Then also, as a cybersecurity specialist, there are people that handle just documentations, right? Their own work is just documentation, all right? Those guys work with these law agencies. Those cybersecurity specialists, they are the ones that just work with these guys directly, or cybersecurity specialists. So they just work with these laws. They work with documents, compliance, okay, regulations, policies. So that is just um, their niche, all right, in the cybersecurity space. So there are also laws that are protecting privacy, which is, for example, Privacy Act of 1974, Freedom of Information Act, Family Education Record and Privacy Act, US Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, and the rest. Then also international laws, all right, Convention of Cybercrime, Electronic Privacy Information Center. I used to know the different laws that are in the cyber space. So there are lots actually. So which means as a cybersecurity specialist, you have to be acquainted with most of them, so that you do not at any point breach privacy or breach authorities. So there are some cybersecurity information websites that you should check out. For example, the National Vulnerability Database. So this one is a repository of standard-based vulnerability management data that uses the security content automation protocol. So this one now is for every organization. Let me say for every new threat that has been found. All right, these guys update their database. Then there's CERT, the Software Engineering Institute at Carnegie Mellon University. They help government and industry organizations develop, operate, and maintain software systems that are innovative, affordable, and trustworthy. It's a federal funded research and development center sponsored by the words US Department of Defense. Then there's also Internet Storm Center, the Advanced Cybersecurity Center. So Advanced Cybersecurity Center, it's more like it's a non-profit organization that brings together industry, academia, and governments to address advanced cyber threats. So the organization shares information on cyber threats, engages in cybersecurity research and development, and creates education programs to promote the cybersecurity profession. So let's look at cybersecurity weapons. Okay, we have vulnerability scanners. All right, this one's just scan the entire network, scan the computer, all right, for vulnerabilities. So this one's just help to automate the process more, all right. They help to scan the network for security risk, and they produce a prioritized list to addressing weaknesses. Then there's pen testing, all right. Pen testing is just testing areas of weaknesses in systems, all right, by various malicious techniques. So when you carry out penetration testing, it means that you are actually attacking the system. All right, it's not, you're not checking for vulnerabilities this time around, you're actually trying to break into the system. Then there's also packet analyzers. All right, so packet analyzer, or what I was always calling packet sniffer, they intercept the and log network traffic. All right, the packet analyzer captured each packet, shows the values of various fields in the packet, analyze its content. So a sniffer can capture network traffic on both wired and wireless network. So when a packet sniffer captures traffic, okay, so if the part of the traffic that was captured includes passwords and usernames, you're going to see the usernames there written in plain text. But if the user uses a VPN, the usernames and password will not show. So that's the importance of VPNs. Then security tools. So there is no one security tool. So there are several security tools that can be used to carry out cyber security operations. So you must actually go and check out these tools. When you go and use some uh, Linux operating systems, you see some of these tools. You go and do researches, you see some of these tools there, plus the one that I'm going to show us after this class. I'm going to show us a platform that we can use. All right, now explaining the cybersecurity professional. So you have to define the role of your role as a cybersecurity professional. So the ISO standard defines the role of cybersecurity professionals, which is the ISO 27000 framework. So it requires a senior manager responsible for IT and ISM, all right, information security professional and security administrator, site/physical security manager and facilities contact, HR contact for HR matters such as disciplinary action and training, systems and network managers, security architects, and other IT professionals. So when these are some of the professions that are in the cybersecurity domain, okay. But how do you get these jobs now? Normally, you can go via LinkedIn, Indeed.com. Indeed.com is the one I know very well, and LinkedIn. There's also Career Builder. There's also USAJobs.gov. All right, so you should look at all those stuff. But first off, you need to like fine tune your LinkedIn profile. So, in summary, we've looked at a lot the different cybersecurity domains, okay, that vulnerabilities can possibly arise from, okay, and we understood that there are several laws that are governing the cyberspace, and even as a cybersecurity specialist, you should also be acquainted with some of these laws so that you do not in any way breach any of them, because breaching any of these laws could cost you money and could even cost a life, and also could cost you prison. Let's put it like that. So you will end up in jail if you breach some of these kind of laws. So you also need to go ahead and check out for tools or look out for resources. So these are just everything that you need to know concerning the cybersecurity. That's why the cybersecurity essentials course covers everything that we've talked about today.